How are the resolutions that you set for yourself earlier this year going? If you're like most people, maybe you've got a bit of a mixed bag. So some of them you've made progress on, and some have fallen by the wayside completely. If so, you are not alone. The good news is the key to achieving your goals isn't to pursue them perfectly and never backslide. It's to keep coming back to your goals even when you do. So today I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite tools to help you do just that. Hi, I'm Scarlett Cochran. I'm a lawyer, a wealth expert, and an author, and this is One Big Happy Life, where we help you build wealth while creating the life that you want. Setting goals in our lives for specific outcomes that we want to have or specific changes that we want to make in our lives is one of the ways that we intentionally create the fulfilling and rich life that we all crave. But going after those goals can be quite challenging because we are trying to change things. We're trying to change our behaviors and we're trying to do things that we've never done before. So of course we experience periods of ups and downs, periods where we're making progress towards our goals, but also periods of inertia where we're not making much progress, and maybe even periods of backsliding where we lose some of the progress that we've made. And that can be really disheartening. But if those goals are really important to us, we know that it's something that we're going to want to keep coming back to over and over. We don't just want to give up on them. And so then the question becomes, all right, so how do we motivate ourselves to get back on track and start working towards our goals? Well, one of my favorite ways to do that is with a fresh start. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But first, I want to take a moment to invite you to join me for a brand new money masterclass that I'm going to be teaching, the 4 keys to building wealth in 2023 and beyond. You can go ahead and save your seat by heading over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass. In this live training, you will learn how to build wealth in any economy and make sure that you can thrive financially no matter what, but also how to build wealth in a way that is sustainable and enjoyable so that you can enjoy your life along the way while you're creating a multi-million-dollar nest egg. So head on over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass and save your seat and join me live. So today we're going to be talking about the fresh start effect and how you can use it to get back on track and start working towards your goals at any time. So what is this fresh start effect? The idea behind the fresh start effect is that there are these specific moments in time that really prime us for new beginnings. And in those moments, we're able to separate our old selves and what's happened in the past from what's possible for us in our future. Those meaningful moments in time are called temporal landmarks. So there's specific moments in time that really stand out to us as being a place of new beginnings. So one example of that is New Year's. So we're all in the new year, new you vibe at the beginning of the year because the old year is over and a new year is starting. It's a brand new January. It's a brand new year filled with possibilities. And New Year's is not the only time that we have that new vibe experience. It happens on birthdays. So here's a new year of life. It also happens when something specific in our life changes. So when we transition from high school to college, when we start a new job, when we move to a new location, all of those are examples of significant time events that create an opportunity within us to get excited and motivated and make changes in our lives. So why exactly does this matter? How do these meaningful moments in time allow us to have a fresh start? Fresh starts allow us to disconnect from our past and reset psychologically. So whenever we've been working towards a goal and maybe we experience habit slippage where we had started to build good habits, but they've fallen back to the wayside. So maybe at the beginning of the year, you were putting on your running shoes and heading out the door first thing in the morning 3 times a week. And then you missed one run 1 week. And then you only did 1 run another week. And then a couple weeks went by and you realized that you haven't run at all. Well, that's a common thing that happens where we work towards making change in our lives, but then we experience a setback. And when that happens, we experience disappointment and we start to question whether or not we're actually capable of making the changes that we want to see in our lives, or whether we're actually going to be able to reach the goal eventually at all. And that happens because we're connecting what we've experienced in the past, which is starting a habit and then falling off, to what's possible for us in the future. And we start to think that maybe we're doomed to continue to repeat that over and over. So what a fresh start allows us to do is realize a truth that was always there, which is that our experience and what we've done in the past does not have to determine what we're going to do in the future. A fresh start creates a sort of natural psychological line in the sand between the old us and what we've done in the past and the new us, what's possible for us, and the opportunities that are available to us in the future. It creates excitement and motivation, which will help us take those first initial steps to getting back on track. And it allows us to go from feeling like we're never going to figure it out, or maybe it's just not possible for us, to realizing that we just haven't figured it out yet, and that this fresh start is a new opportunity to try again, using some of the lessons that we learned from our past experiences to set ourselves up for better success next time. Because while not following through perfectly on all of our goals for ourselves and sticking to every habit perfectly can feel disappointing, the truth is that goal failure is a normal part of goal achievement. It's a normal part of the stages of change. Changing your habits and changing your life doesn't mean that you do it perfectly and that you're on this perfect upward trajectory the whole time. What it actually means is that you're moving through these cycles of starts and stops, hopefully faster and faster, and maintaining some progress cycle over cycle. So the better we get at getting ourselves back on track and getting started again and getting that forward momentum faster, the faster we'll reach our goals in the long run. So by tapping into the power of the fresh start, you get that excitement and that motivation that comes again at the beginning of the fresh start, because everything feels new and exciting, and there feels like there are so many possibilities. And while motivation is not something that we want to rely on to fuel us for the long term, because it peters out, right? So it's not reliable long term. It is a great thing to take advantage of to get over that initial hurdle, to get ourselves moving. And then there are other tools that we can use to sustain that momentum over time. So fresh start gives us that momentum. It gives us that excitement. And it allows you to get back on track faster when you learn how to harness the fresh start to use it at any time. So you don't have to wait until New Year's of every year to give yourself a fresh start. I'm going to be sharing some simple ways that you can create fresh starts for yourself every single day. And when you learn how to use a fresh start and to use it anytime that you need one, you can get yourself unstuck a lot faster because you have a process that you know how to follow, you know why you're doing it, you know how it works, so you can get yourself unstuck and shorten the amount of time that you stay in goal inertia, where you're not actively working towards the goals that are truly and deeply meaningful to you. So we've talked a bit about what a fresh start is and why it matters. And so by now, it probably sounds really familiar to you. You're probably already using fresh starts at some periods of your life. So New Year's, new birthday, I'm sure you've experienced the fresh start of starting a new job, having a new relationship, having a new child or a new pet, buying a new house or moving to a new apartment. We've all experienced the power of the fresh start. And often we've also used the fresh start. So I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start Monday, or I will start at the beginning of the year, is what we say kind of towards the end of the year when we don't want to change our eating habits before all of the holiday goodies. And so, of course, we're going to talk about where those natural fresh starts are, but the real power of this is how you can create a fresh start for yourself at any time. So you don't have to wait for the fresh start to come along. You can actually create one. And so start your fresh start whenever you need one. And this will allow us to tap into the power of starting now. And that is so important because, look, it's human nature to look into the future and imagine that you have way more time in the future to do a thing, that there's time to get to it later, that there's going to be a time in your life where figuring out figuring out this thing and figuring out how to have that thing in your life is going to become easier. That's human nature. But what that does is set us up for regret, where we then look back and realize that, hey, I actually could have started this so much longer ago, or I wish that I had started this sooner, or oh my gosh, I thought I would have time to do this, and now that time has passed and I'll never be able to do it. So we want to make sure that we are harnessing the power of right now, and we'll do that by being able to create fresh starts for ourselves at any time. Okay, so now let's talk about how you can actually create fresh starts for yourself. Now, of course, there are the time-based fresh starts. So again, New Year's, there's spring, right? Springing into action. Spring cleaning is a fresh start for our homes. But those are all things that only happen once a year. And of course, when you add them together, there are multiple just kind of natural time event type fresh starts that happen during the year, because maybe we might have 10 or 20 of them over the course of the year. But what I want to offer is that you can actually crunch that time. You can really lean into the idea of the weekly fresh start, which we all also experience. Monday is a fresh start, beginning of a brand new week, but also the daily fresh start. So seeing each day as a new opportunity to try again versus writing off your whole week. Because if you only focus on Monday as a fresh start day, then if you fall off on Monday, then you've got 6-7 more days before you feel that fresh start energy. So embracing the idea that your fresh start can be tomorrow. And one way that I'm using that in my life right now is that I've been working on creating a new planning system and work schedule that works for me. And I'm going to be sharing my process along the way in upcoming episodes, so stay tuned for that. But what I was doing at first was planning out my whole week, and then I would go through the whole week and get to the end of the week and then look back on the week and feel really disappointed and not really understand why it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And so what I started doing was, yes, I plan out the whole week, but instead of waiting till the end of the week to feel like, okay, now I'm going to review my progress and have a fresh start next week, now I go to the end of my day and I create a fresh start the next day, because the next day is still a brand new opportunity for me to stick to the schedule that I set for myself, to follow through on the to-dos that I set for myself, and to also assess whether or not I'm actually being realistic. And breaking it down like that, where I'm looking at my progress day by day, with each day being its own unique opportunity for me to do something different, I'm able to actually catch problems early and refocus and rebuild that excitement every single morning. So you can create a fresh start for yourself every day versus just waiting until Monday. So those are time-based fresh starts. But I also talked about how we have other fresh starts that are not time-based. They're actually event-based. So starting a new semester in school, moving into a new home. So how can we create event-based fresh starts for ourselves, even when nothing else in our lives are actually changing? So one way that you can do that is with something new. So a new notebook, a new pair of running shoes, a new pair of workout pants, a new book, something that feels like a step in a new direction. So I talked about working on my schedule and creating a new schedule that works for the way my life is right now. And one of the first things I did was I got 2 new notebooks. I'm a notebook lover. I have notebooks all over the place. And yes, I already had blank notebooks here, but I wanted to try a specific method of using a bullet journal type of spread to plan my week. So I wanted to move away from digital planning for a little bit and go back to paper planning. And I didn't have any notebooks that were dot notebooks. So I ordered 2 new notebooks, a big one to plan my week on Sundays that I also journal in, and a smaller one that I use day to day, and especially when it comes to business planning and taking notes. And those 2 new journals really did create a fresh start for me, like a big fresh start between what my schedule looked like before and the struggles that I've experienced getting back on a schedule that works For me and the way our lives are right now, there was the before I got my notebooks, and then there was the after I got my notebooks. And it's symbolic, but it made a huge difference for me. Another symbolic way that you can create a fresh start is with accountability and support. So joining a new class or course or program, starting to work with a coach, or finding yourself an accountability partner where you meet a specific day every week. That also feels new. And those are symbolic ways that you can create a fresh start for yourself. So those are just a few ideas, but I know that if you think about it more and you think about what works for you and think about in the past when you've experienced that fresh start energy beyond just New Year's or your birthday, where was that? What did that look like for you? And I want you to brainstorm what are some other ways that you can create fresh start energy for yourself on demand at any time so that you can get back to working towards the goals that truly matter to you. And be sure to share it down in the comments below, whether it's something new that you've thought of or something that you want to try that I've suggested. And be sure to head on over to onebighappylife.com/masterclass to sign up for the free money class that I'm going to be doing, the 4 keys to building wealth in 2023 and beyond. All right, I'll see you next time.